You know that feeling, right? If you're an athlete, you know it. That little voice in your head, that fear, that one bad rep, one explosive move could just snap. And just like that, years of training could go down the drain. Well, today, we're going to talk about the new science that can help us finally shut that voice up.
I mean, listen to this. This happened to Dr. Yod, a guy who's been a calisthenics coach for over a decade. He wasn't trying some crazy new stunt. He was doing a Maltese, a move he's done countless times. And then pop, bicep tendon gone. So the real question is, how on earth does that happen to an expert?
It just feels so random, doesn't it? Like a lightning strike you can't see coming. But what if it's not random at all? What if these massive, catastrophic failures are actually the very predictable end of a story? A story that you can actually rewrite. Okay, so to really get to the bottom of this, we've got to look at the work of Professor Keith Baar over at UC Davis. This guy is one of the top minds in the world on connective tissue. And honestly, what his lab has found is a total game changer for how we should think about keeping our tendons healthy. So here's the first big bombshell. A truly healthy tendon doesn't just snap out of the blue. Professor Baar looked at studies on hundreds of tendon tears, and you know what he found? Every single one of them showed signs of degeneration before the rupture. The pop isn't the beginning of the problem. It's the final, tragic conclusion to a problem that's been brewing for a while. So what's causing this slow breakdown? Well, the main villain has a name, and it's called jerk. And no, I'm not talking about a person. In physics, it's a super rapid change in acceleration. For us in the gym, it's that jerky, bouncy, snapping motion. That's the stuff that puts the absolute worst kind of stress on our tendons. And this just lays it out perfectly, right? Think about bouncing a heavy deadlift off the floor. That's super high jerk. Explosive box jumps, same thing. On the flip side, think about a slow, controlled, static hold, like holding a gymnastic planche. That's low jerk. The high jerk stuff sends a massive breakdown signal, what scientists call a catabolic signal. But the low jerk movements, they send a building signal, an anabolic one. Okay, so if low jerk movements are the key to building stronger tendons, how do we actually put that into practice? Well, Professor Baar's lab didn't just find the problem, they developed a stunningly simple solution. And here's the secret sauce. It's all about timing. Your tendon cells, the little factories that build collagen, they get the full message to start building within the first 5 to 10 minutes of exercise. Anything you do after that doesn't really add to the build signal. It just adds to the breakdown and the wear and tear. So the whole goal is to hit that 10-minute sweet spot and then get out. And this is how simple it is. You just pick a few light static holds that are relevant to what you do. So if you're into calisthenics, maybe a gentle planche lean. If your tendons are feeling good, you hold for 10 seconds. If you're nursing a sore spot, you hold for 30 seconds. And the intensity, this is key, is super light, just enough to feel it working. The whole thing, including your rest, is done in 10 minutes flat. Now look how this fits into your day. You could do this quick 10-minute session in the morning. Then, and this is the genius part, you rate 6 to 8 hours. Why? Because it takes about that long for your tendon cells to reset and become sensitive to another signal. So you can come back in the afternoon for your main workout and get a second, powerful build signal in the same day. It's like a training hack for your connective tissue. All right. That training protocol, that's about 95% of the battle right there. But if you want that extra 5% edge, you can actually use nutrition to feed your body the exact raw materials it needs to build those bulletproof tendons. And the toolkit is pretty simple. First, hydrolyzed collagen or gelatin. That's the actual bricks. Then you need vitamin C, which is like the worker that helps get the collagen out of the cell. And finally, a leucine-rich protein, like whey, which acts like the foreman on the job site, shouting the main signal to start building. And look, the amounts are totally reasonable. We're talking 5 to 10 grams of collagen, a little bit of vitamin C, and a pretty standard scoop of protein powder. This isn't about chugging massive quantities of stuff, it's about being strategic. And this is where the magic happens. Your tendons don't get a lot of blood flow. The way they get nutrients is kind of like a sponge. When you load them, you squeeze the old fluid out. When you relax, they suck new fluid in from the surrounding area. So by taking these nutrients about an hour before your 10-minute session, you're making sure that the fluid they suck back in is absolutely packed with all those good building blocks. Okay, but what if you're already dealing with an injury? For decades, the advice was just rest and ice. Well, the new science says that might be one of the absolute worst things you can do. I mean, just let this quote from Professor Baar sink in. 3 days of doing nothing, of total rest, can wipe out up to 20% of the collagen in your tendon. You're literally making the tissue weaker and more vulnerable, right when it needs to be getting stronger. It's wild. So the whole model has flipped. The old way, immobilization, just leads to weaker tissue and a longer, slower recovery. The new way is all about smart, early loading. You're giving the tendon a gentle signal to start repairing itself, you're helping pump out swelling, and you're starting that rebuilding process safely. And here's what that looks like. You find a range of motion where you feel stretch or tension, but, and this is the golden rule, absolutely zero pain. You slowly, smoothly apply a load over a few seconds, hold that gentle contraction for up to 30 seconds, and then slowly release. And you have to treat it like a course of antibiotics. You've got to do it consistently, every day, for about 8 weeks to give that tissue time to really remodel itself properly. So when you put all these pieces together, the science of jerk, the 10-minute protocol, the nutrition, the smarter recovery, it all points to one huge, fundamental shift in how we need to think about our bodies. Here's the biggest takeaway from all of this. Your tendons are not just passive ropes holding your muscles to your bones. They are living, breathing tissues. And here's the kicker from Professor Baar's research. They actually adapt to smart training even faster than your muscles do. They're not fragile, they're trainable. It's time we started treating them that way. So I guess it all boils down to this one simple but really powerful question. Your muscles give you feedback. They get sore. Your tendons, they don't. They just get stronger or they slowly degenerate in complete silence. So after hearing all this, you really have to ask yourself, are you actively training your tendons, or are you just training your muscles and leaving your tendons' health completely up to chance?